Oh, I think you muted yourself. Oh, say
Wait,
something?
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello? Oh, okay,
Hello,
okay, there
how
we go.
are we doing?
Um, I was saying, to be honest, not so great, but it's cause I don't know, man. I've been losing a lot of games, and I'm not even masters anymore. So
Okay, so it's not going good Overwatch wise. I thought
yeah,
you're
Overwatch. Oh, in
fucking
real life, I'm
dog died
fine.
or something. Okay. No, no,
No, no,
no,
I'm
no, 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 no,
fine.
no, no. Losing games is temporary. You know, I just wanted to make sure that nothing was going on going wrong IRL.
No, I'm
But yeah,
good.
well, let's figure out what's going wrong. Do you have a code for me to look at?
Yes, I do. I really, really want you to look at this one
Sure.
because there's been some weird stuff going on with me climbing and like I got up this morning, won 4 games in a row. Then starting with this game that I'm about to send you, I lost this game, and then I lost 8 times in a row, and now I'm Diamond 1, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell happened? I think I improved. I really do believe I'm doing better. Like, I'm dying less. I'm peeling for my teammates a lot more. I'm noticing what's going on with my team, and I'm following up, but I'm still losing games, and it's just, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So, I mean, I guess you could just have a look at it and see.
Sounds like an idea. Let me start the screen share. All right. You should be able to see the
Um,
game.
Wait, let me come to the channel.
Okay. And you're still going steadfast with the whole becoming the best Genji in the world strategy.
I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm putting in the effort. Right now, I'm
Okay.
50 hours this season in comp with him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of disappointing, and it puts you down when you're putting in all this effort, and then you do something like you lose in elo, like you go to diamond when you were in masters.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, what the hell?
Well, effort intrinsically doesn't get you rewarded, right? Like putting in the hours doesn't mean we're going to climb. We just need to play well. So you mentioned that you were on a loss streak. What kind of measures have you taken to address that? Besides, being here, of course, but
Nothing. I just literally keep playing.
and do you think that's the optimal approach?
No, I think that after like losing 3, I should just get off for the day
Um,
because I probably did get tilted. I'm not gonna lie.
yes. So my perspective on tilt is that ultimately it's an emotion that you can only learn to control if you expose yourself to it regularly, right? Um, because ironically, like the most tilted people I know in video games are always those who play the least. Because to them each individual game has like so much weight. They don't play a lot, so every single game really matters. And they're not really used to being tilted. They haven't really grown tired of being tilted yet, right? So while taking a break is good, right? When we lose 3 games, you just know that you're super tilted. 100% take a break, right? What I wouldn't do is just say, oh, I'm tilted now. I can't play at all for today until tomorrow, right? Because ultimately practice makes perfect. So what did you do besides not playing the game? Because that doesn't sound like a very promising long-term solution, does it?
I'm talking about like what am I balancing in my life?
Well, I'm
Like,
I'm trying. Basically, what I'm asking is, do you VOD review?
oh yeah. I looked at the cycle that I explained to you when we just started talking.
Mm-hmm.
That cycle has repeated itself like 4 or 5 different times. Not even exaggerating. I literally would win 4 or 5 games in a row, and then immediately win 7 or 8 games right after. And then
Mm-hmm.
slowly, I just started to go from Masters 3, and now I'm in Diamond 1 because that's the cycle that's been happening. And I just got. It's like pissing me off.
Okay, but what does that have to do with VOD reviewing?
Oh wait.
Did I
Oh, it
misspeak?
matters because no,
Oh,
no, no.
okay. Yeah, go ahead. Yo, I think your mic died again.
And I'm sorry, my
Ah,
mic, my
it's
wire
okay.
comes unloose
All good,
sometimes.
all good, all good.
So the reason why I brought that up was because when this cycle happened for the first time, I was like, okay, you told me to review myself, and since
Mm-hmm.
I had so much data, since I was like, holy shit, I just lost 7 games in a row. There is something I'm doing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
looked at all of them,
Okay.
and then after
Good.
that, I slowly started looking at like 1, 2, and then like these last 2 days, I just haven't been looking at them at all. I've just been playing, but I have looked at a really good handful of games.
And what were the takeaways? Because it sounds like you were disappointed. Like you stopped doing them.
Yeah. But what I know I'm doing wrong, even right now, as I speak to you, even as you're about to watch this, is the way I'm using Blade. I still go for low percentage plays, and the way I use Nano, like it's uncoordinated and it's always a mess, 24/7. Really, Blade, I'd say around Blade is where my problems lie. But my neutral game has definitely improved a
Mm-hmm.
lot, but I still think I could do better. And that's my takeaways from watching myself so far.
Okay. Well, let's just. Are you? Do you have the screen share open now?
Yeah, I'm looking.
All right. Then let's take a look. See if there's anything. So is this one of the games you reviewed?
No, I didn't
Okay.
look at this one yet.
Okay. Oh well, that Winston is not doing a lot. Okay, so far you guys are vibing. Now they're starting to apply point pressure. That was a very defensive dash. Okay, trying to contest the Hanzo. That's okay. I want to see what your diva did here. Just to see what kind of alternatives we had available. Okay, she decided to go for Brig on the point, but she managed to solo kill that, so that is fine. So far this is looking okay. Technically the safer play there would have been to just focus on whatever the diva is focusing. From a macro standpoint, of course, the best play would be for both you and diva to go for the Hanzo, but the diva was probably worried about them getting a tick or something, so she wanted to focus the people on the point first, which is something that we can predict, right? Usually when you play with a dive tank, they tend to prioritize targets on the objective in a situation where they're pressuring it heavily, like right here, they were about to get a tick. Both plays ultimately are fine. Going for the Hanzo is a little bit less safe, of course. You always run the risk of him just one-shotting you. But other than that, not much has happened so far. But you also don't have ultimates yet, right? And you mentioned that your blades are a big problem.
Yeah, I always seem to be the last one to get my ultimate, and I always had the lowest stats on the scoreboard ever since I started, you know,
Mm-hmm.
trying to listen to you. But I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm hoping you can point that out.
Okay, here you decide to contest the Hanzo again. See, this is kind of the problem, right? So I just mentioned that we kind of want to try and play a little bit more around what our team is doing, right? As
Right.
Genji, of course, there are situations where you can just 1v1 one-shot someone, but the problem is that for consistency's sake, it's usually easier to kill people that our teammates are on, because our number one goal in every single team fight, like when you VOD review as well, whenever you look at one of your teammates, even if you got a kill, you should always ask yourself, is there any way that I could have helped create a numbers advantage faster, right? And so far during this game, during both of these team fights, you opted to go for a target that none of your teammates were focusing. Why is that?
Wait, rewind a little bit.
Sure.
I have
So
to like
right
get back
here,
into,
yeah.
yeah, like imagine when
So
I was
right
there.
there, the Winston
Okay,
jumped in, right? Your team is focusing him.
right.
He goes out, right? You're like messing out, right? The Winston just jumped behind you, and you ignore him and you go for the Hanzo.
I think
And
I was just tunnel visioning.
do you see how the Hanzo killed your Ana,
I didn't even see that.
right? But what can we learn from that? What can we learn from the fact that the Hanzo killed the Ana there?
I don't know.
Well, I'm assuming you're on the Hanzo because you like perceive him to be a high priority threat that needs to be eliminated.
I think I jumped on him because no one was like his supports weren't looking at him, and I just thought I need to get a kill. And he's by himself. The Winston just jumped behind my team, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go kill this Hanzo then, and then come right back.
No, see, that's the wrong mindset. So if you said, I wanted to focus this Hanzo because I was trying to protect my backline, you know, with the idea being that if you pressure the Hanzo, he's going to not be as effective, right? That's like a valid idea to have from the get-go. But obviously, in reality, as Genji, you don't really have the means to stop a good Hanzo from just killing your team, right? Like in this situation, you were focusing the Hanzo, but he just killed your Ana anyways, right? So it didn't really make that big of a difference. Your mindset as Genji always should be just playing around whatever opportunities your team give you, right? Right now, you still have this mindset that you need to do everything by yourself, that you need to find every single opportunity by yourself, and that you need to win these crazy 1v1s and just one-shot people with combos. But in high, like, that's something that you do in low elo, right? Your gameplay here is really, really smurf. It's super, super smurf. But the problem is that you're not really at a rank where that playstyle can find success. Because as you climb higher, you know, you're chilling around in Masters, people aren't, you know, I'm not saying that Masters players are like all gods at the game, you know, but they have a fundamental understanding, I guess is a nice way of saying it, right? They're not completely like super duper bad, right? And that's where you can't really go for those kinds of, like, force those kinds of hero plays, right? Like in this situation, the enemy, okay, so let's like analyze this situation. So the Winston jumped in, right? He even used his bubble, right? And he's low HP, and you guys force him out, right? And then right here, he jumped in again. Okay, I don't know.
Oh,
if
I
you
didn't
hear the
even
sound,
notice.
right?
I didn't even notice.
Well, yeah, like look what he does. He's stupid, right? Look at it from his perspective. So you can't hear the sound, but where I just paused is I could hear the jump sound, right? And there's only one Winston in this team, you know, whose jumping sound is that, right? But look what he does. So he goes in, right? He drops his bubble, right? And look, he just eats a shit ton of damage, right? Did you focus him? Let's see. Yeah, you focused him here, right? Like, look, you're like you pumped like 3 point blank right clicks into him, right? And all of that damage, look, it almost killed him outright, you know, because if he's up on the high ground, his supports can't really help him. What is Brigitte supposed to do? What is Ana supposed to do, right? Like from down here, can she see up there? Like, look at this from the Ana's perspective. Who the fuck is supposed to help Winston there? You know? Nobody can really help him, right? So because of that, because he jumps outside of the line of sight of his supports, right? He gets completely dunked on, and then he goes out, right? So now what would be the correct play for him? What would be the smart thing to do?
For Winston?
Yeah. If you were coaching this Winston player, what would be the smart thing to do after he gets forced out here?
Well, he grabbed the health pack. I would have did the same.
Yeah,
and then
the health pack
maybe
is good.
make sure supports have LOS on him the next time he tries to dive.
Nope. He needs to wait until his bubble is back up.
Oh.
But look what he does.
Oh, he just goes right back up.
So there's a Winston jumping in the middle of your team, and his bubble isn't up for another 5 seconds. And keep in mind, in the previous dive, right, he did this like 7 seconds ago. And he had his bubble, and even with the bubble, he almost died, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what would happen if he jumps in without bubble, and you land 3 point blank shurikens, and the soldier pumps
He would
damage?
die.
He would just die, right? And who would you say is the highest value target to kill on the enemy team? If you have a magical button that can kill one person on the enemy team, who would you want to kill every single time?
Winston.
The main tank. Always, always the tank. Right? Overwatch 1 was different. We had like 2 tanks, you know? But now they merged the 2 tanks into one big raid boss tank. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this Winston is jumping in, right? And like, that's iffy, right? You should feel a little bit iffy here, right? Because 1 second he's like almost dead and going out, and then right there you hear the jump. You don't hear it because of the screen share, but you can hear the jumping sound again because he jumps in, right? That's like really iffy, you know? That makes my spider sense tingle, and I'm like, oh, my feeder alert is triggering. And I would just instantly, I would turn around, and I would just absolutely, look how low HP he is. You know, just absolutely demolish him. Just destroy him. But you didn't punish that, you went for the Hanzo. And again, we do not want to do that. When your team is focusing something, just try to help them kill it. It's like the saying, you know, monkeys together strong. Like the reality is that, again, as I mentioned earlier, you're basically playing this either as a smurf or as someone that spends a lot of time scrimming, right? Because when you smurf, this kind of plays okay because you can just ego 1v1 people and destroy them. Or when you're in a scrim, it's okay because then your team could follow up on that call, right? And they could focus your target, right? But the problem is that this is not a scrim, which means there is no communication, right? So the worst case in a ranked environment with no communication is that everyone focuses a different target, right? Everyone is shooting at something, but no two people are shooting at the same target, right? Why is that bad? Why is it bad when everyone shoots a different target?
Because that target, if everyone's shooting a different target, they could not die because there's supports on the enemy team. They could heal whatever target, and then the enemy team could just focus one of you, and then it would just be like a domino effect.
Exactly, right? Like, of course, eventually you're going to kill something, right? Because the two supports on the enemy team, they can't heal up 5 people at once, right? So eventually something is going to die. But the problem is if you all focus different targets, like that death is going to take a very, very long time to come around. But if you guys all focus the same target, right, something is going to die faster than if you all focus different targets, right? And ultimately, every single team fight is different in solo queue. It's almost like not entirely random, but it's like a kind of a statistical distribution almost, right? Sometimes you have those team fights where everyone is focusing a different target. Sometimes 2 people are focusing the same target. Sometimes 3 people are focusing the same target, right? And imagine there's a dice being rolled for every team fight, right? Which determines how many people are on the same target on the enemy team and how many people are on the same target on your team, right? And by you consciously focusing the same target as your team, you're stacking those dice in your favor, right? When your target focus is good and in sync with your team, you're increasing the odds that your team's target focus is going to be better than the enemy team's. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Because this kind of situation just ideally shouldn't happen. And, you know, this is solo queue. The team that gets the first pick is usually the team that wins the entire team fight. Because you just immediately start losing out on so much healing, so much pressure, so much everything. Right? And again, obviously you might argue, right, that, you know, the Ana could have died anyways. Right? Like, what if the Ana died anyways? But the Ana dying to the Hanzo arrow would have actually been fine if the Winston died in return, right? So you don't necessarily, as a DPS player, you don't necessarily want to protect your teammates or prevent them from dying. Obviously, the pressure that you apply, especially when you play a character that can solo kill people, right? As Widowmaker, none of what I told you applies. As Widowmaker, you can solo kill people. You don't care about what your team is focusing in most situations, right? Obviously, sometimes you can focus, like, pump a few headshots into the enemy Orisa to help your team kill her, right? But most of the time, you're going to look for picks on the backline because that applies a lot of pressure to them. It makes it hard for them to peek, and that can protect your team, right? But none of that really applies as Genji because as Genji, you don't really have that, like, hardcore one-shot potential. You know, you have high damage combos, but those are inconsistent and they're not one-shots, which means any form of healing is going to prevent you from killing someone in a single combo, and so on and so forth. Just a bunch of inconsistency that we don't really want, right? So you don't want to worry about, oh, the enemy Hanzo killed my Ana, right? So the correct play would have been to focus the Hanzo. That's not the right thinking, right? The question is, okay, were there any opportunities for us to get a kill? The Hanzo got an opportunity to get a kill. He saw the opportunity to get a kill on the Ana, and he succeeded, right? But did we have any opportunities? That's the question you should ask yourself. And then you're going to recognize, wait, there's a Winston jumping in without bubble into, like, 5 people. That's not, that, you know, smells a little funny to me, right? And then if you would have killed him, the enemy team wouldn't have a Winston, and your team wouldn't have an Ana. And you are 100% in the advantage there, right? If your Ana disconnected from the game and the enemy Winston disconnected from the game, your win rate would skyrocket. Just it's such a huge advantage. I know that I've harped on for quite a bit on this team fight, but I really want to get that particular concept across, where it's about recognizing opportunities where the enemy team fucks up, and usually your team is going to communicate that, because they're going to focus that target, ideally, right? And you don't want to choose targets. You want to base your target focus on whatever your tank does, because usually that's what everyone else on your team bases their target focus around. And once you start scrimming, things are different. You can communicate. You can be a little bit more proactive with your target focus. Right now, you're not scrimming. Right now, you're just looking for whatever your diva is doing. Even if it sometimes means that your diva isn't really doing that much, right? But right here, for example, the enemy Winston jumps in again, right? But what is in front of you? He just jumped in, but what do you see in front of you?
His bubble.
His bubble! So what does that mean?
I could focus him and just dash behind me and go pump some damage into him.
Yes, right? He's really stupid.
But
right?
he is about to get primal.
Right, let him get primal. Force it out of him. That's okay. Your diva can peel for you. You can try to force out the Winston as soon as possible, right? And also keep in mind you get so much ult charge from just constantly pumping shots into that Winston, right? We're not like Tracer, you know. Tracer has a lot more 1v1 potential than Genji, and she also has an ultimate that's a lot less useful than Dragonblade, right? So pumping damage into the Winston here so you can get your ultimate twice as fast as you normally would, that's not a bad thing. You mentioned earlier that you've noticed that you're like getting your ult so slowly, right? Like your Ana already has her ultimate. Your Mercy already has her ultimate, right? Your Soldier, he ulted 10 years ago. Look, let's go back. Dun. Look, man, your Hanzo, you're at 42%. He already has his ultimate. And why do you think that is? Because he just keeps spamming like tons of damage into that Winston. And that allows him to get his ultimate super fast, right? Everyone on your team focused the Winston, and because of that, they're drowning in ult charge, right? Every single person on your team, right? Diva and Soldier, they've already both ulted while you're at 60%. And your Mercy and your Ana have their ultimate. And if you look at the enemy team, right, has his ultimate. Almost has his ultimate. Has her ultimate. Has her ultimate. Almost has her ultimate. You are the slowest person in the entire team when it comes to ult charge right now. Because you're being too picky with who you focus. Don't be picky. Right? Sometimes people int. And when those opportunities come, you can try to punish them, right? When someone is really low HP, like a Squishy, maybe someone in the enemy backline, like a Squishy, you know, the enemy Hanzo, maybe he ate a shot by the Ana, or maybe he ate a Helix rocket, right? Then you can jump in, you can quickly secure the kill. We still want to look out for those opportunities, but during the downtime, right, where we're just vibing, so to say, instead of just forcing a play and jumping on a Squishy and trying to 1v1 them, trust me, enemies are always feeding. They're always going to do something dumb, right? So you don't need to be so selective with your target focus. Focusing whatever your team is focusing is a much higher priority. Yeah, look, like your entire team is like melting the hell out of this Winston, you know? Okay, I guess Mercy's and look what Mercy's doing. You see what she's doing?
Healing me.
Wouldn't it be better if she was damage boosting these people or healing this person?
Yeah.
Imagine how long this Winston would survive if a nano boosted, damage boosted diva was shooting into him at point blank range. It doesn't matter that he has 1000 HP, right? Or 1050 HP now. Damn, monkeys go tanky, right? But instead, you did your own thing. You're on the other side of the map. You're on a completely different page than the rest of your team. The Mercy has to bail you out because you're in the process of dying a very painful death. Yeah. And then your Mercy somehow actually gets a kill. She's like, I'm here. See, and look, she sees an opportunity, right? She sees the opportunity that Hanzo took random ass damage from somewhere, right? And she's like, oh, that's an opportunity. I can quickly take care of that, right? Was that a good play? No, she should have just healed the rest of the team, right? Mercy shouldn't really try to solo kill people in the backline, even if it's a really good opportunity. But that's like a good example of the kind of opportunity that you can capitalize on as Genji, right? When someone is low HP, like that Hanzo was, those are the situations where we can solo dive in because we can say, hey, this guy's half HP. I can just dash in, right-click melee, dash out, and he's 100% dead, right? Before he can react, right? That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I hope that everything I told you hopefully makes sense. Do you have any final questions?
And if you were to like make the most simplest summary ever for me to apply, like I'm not gonna go play right now, but if I were to literally go jump in another game right now, what would your advice be to me?
Keep your eyes glued on your tank. You always want
tank?
to know where your tank is, what he's thinking about, or what she's thinking, what they are thinking about. There we go. Language is difficult. What they're thinking about, and when they go for a play, you want to be there. You want to be ready to go in and mess people up. That's
okay.
our job, basically. Okay?
All right, got it. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Any other questions?
I have to go book another session. I have a lot of stuff I want to go through, but you know.
That's what I'm here for. Again, I wish I could go into even more depth, but half an hour is half an hour. There's only so much stuff I can talk about. But I just want to make sure that you always have something to work on, you know, kind of implement. And
because
yeah,
like, so when I sent you this game, and immediately from the first fight, you were already talking about something that there's no way in hell I would have ever even thought about any of that on my own. And that's why I always think, okay, I'm trying my hardest here. I'm looking at these games. I didn't look at this one, but like for my other games, I'm looking at them. I really want to improve. I really want to climb. I want to get good at this game. But then I'm like, I just don't get anywhere. And then now I'm in Diamond 1, and then I send you over this code, and then it's like, boom, I have no fucking idea what he's talking about. And then there. And I don't know. That's why I just want to work with you more. That's what I'm trying to say here.
You still have another half-hour session. Don't hesitate scheduling that.
And yeah, I'm gonna do it right now.
Perfect. Sounds good. Well, I gotta go. If you have any more questions, let me know, and
I will.
I'll see you next time.
All right.
Have a good one, man. See ya.